I lived and work in this creative space situated in the heart of Berlin for the past 2 years. So before I packed my bags and moved to my new place, I wanted to pay homage to this space that allowed me to create, to explore, to find inspiration, and to be able to nurture my creative practice. I hope you enjoy this workspace tour and make sure to keep watching. Let's start off with my shelf area. This little shelf here is like my little museum. Contains a lot of gifts from friends, candles, and little trinkets that inspire me and shape who I am, like Mulan, Van Gogh, the cutest limited edition Sunny Angels that Yana and Job gifted me respectively, and a lot of personal stuff. On the top part of this mini shelf, I have some maps, and this is actually a zine from Notion from their pop-up. This is an architecture and design map of the Berlin subway system. For some reason, I memorized the majority of the U-Bahn stations here, so I figured it would be proper to have this map. In this tiny basket, we have my instant printers. I'm currently experimenting and testing them out, so I will share that in a future video, but this is the new printer that I got. This Starry Night Lego set was gifted to me by Coco and Ian, and my friends helped me build this together, so I would say it's one of the key pieces of my work area. On top of the Starry Night Lego is this wall featuring some of my personal work highlights that I wanted to remember by and reminisce on. I also have this pin holder that Sophie gave me, and I do have some enamel pins here that are currently displayed and gifted to me. So I opted for an open shelving situation, so most of my items are sorted through these crates. I think they act as drawers, and especially as someone who has a lot of small items and supplies, it was easier for me to grab and go using this system. On to the next shelf. On the top part, we also have a bit of a museum exhibition going on. Have my art supplies, some of my favorite books are here, and this globe that I got from the flea market in Berlin. Behind this tea canister, I do have the traveler's notebook packaging and some more books. It's a wise way to use storage, I would say, because I don't have a lot of shelf space. I also kept this mood board that I used last year, so it's still there and served as like a backdrop for the top part of the shelf. I have a lot of books that inspire me, and one of them is this fanzine, rubbish fanzine by holycrap.sg. And I also have this stationery book that has a lot of info, obviously in Japanese, about Japanese stationery. I think it's really important to have a space that not only just fuels my creativity but also inspires me in many ways, and being surrounded in this kind of setup allows me to freely create and experiment and also realize my own journey as an artist and, just have a lot of cute things all together. On this part of the shelf, I do have a mix of supplies. I have ephemera, so this was from the Adobe event. And this open shelf that you're seeing here has most of the zines that I collect. I love reading zines. Recently been enjoying these A24 ones, and also I have just a lot of small press that I like. Obviously, I also have the zines that I made because you gotta support your own. But yeah, here's my small collection of zines. I have more books underneath. They're not organized in a certain way, but you'll see that this particular shelf has a good amount of great books written by me. I am admittedly not the best at archiving or storing journals or notebooks. Right now, I just have things on hand here that I might need for some creative inspiration. I do want to show you this travel illustration journal that I kept from, I want to say 2018 to 2019. Highlighted a lot of my trips from Berlin to New York and our holiday trips in Europe. I don't think it's a surprise that I'm a huge fan of Japanese storage, so I love having these right on my shelf if I need to find specific supplies. My Toyo toolbox has most of my inks, as you can see here. I think it's not the best storage because I have more inks in my other crate, but I do reach for these inks a lot, and I have samples from friends as well in this box. Say hi to my printer, she needs to be repaired soon. This floor lamp saved me through the hard, dark winters, and I also got this secondhand for only 10 euros, so I think it's a steal. On the bottom part of this shelf, there is a crate that has most of my pen storage, pen cases, pen koozies. I wished I had a better solution, but so far this one seemed to work. I also have file folders of ephemera that I managed to keep, and cards and postcards. Also have some of my archived journals here, although this isn't the final archiving system, still there. I also have more pouches here because pouches are important. I have one for every size, and I also have some for my pens, for my journals, and for my tech stuff. As you can see, these crates help me store my stuff properly. The bottom part, you don't want to look at that. That's all medicine and whatnot. On the other shelf, I do have some books that have been lent to me. I also have some new small press zines that I got from a book fair, also stored in this area. This record player was gifted to me by Ate Joanna, and I hand carried it all the way from Frankfurt from my train. I've been enjoying listening to the Beatles on vinyl. Vinyl. Also have this little music corner on that side of my workspace. I also recently got the Beatles one, Midnights, just a small collection, and actually the AHA is from my mom and it's vintage. My record player is on top of this crate that I actually got for free on my friend Keisha's street, and it has some books and magazines. I actually got featured in Uppercase, so meta, but it actually features this particular part of my room, aka my workspace, and it's such a huge milestone in my career. Here are some magazines and some books that also inspire me, and I love browsing through them. Shout out to Rookie, I love their yearbooks, they inspired me so much. This is my little hangout area. When friends come, this is where we have tea or have a chat or yap. It's quite cozy, have a little coffee table situation. I like putting a vase full of flowers here and just having a nice space to sometimes eat also. Before we continue, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform designed to help you stand out and succeed online. It's an easy way to get started to build your brand through products or services that you'd like to offer. I personally have been using Squarespace for many years now because it's easily customizable and I can update it with several new things. Like right now, my workshops are hosted there for people to sign up with. I also am looking into updating my portfolio, and they offer numerous templates that you can try and test out to customize and to make it your own. Whether you offer services, sell products, or do both, Squarespace gives you everything you need to grow your business and get paid all in one place. Right now, I am in the process of updating my freelance portfolio, and as you can see here, there are a lot of long overdue artworks that I need to add, especially videos that I make thumbnails on and anything that has this kind of lettering feel to it. I'd love for you to try out Squarespace as well and see how you can build your brand, business, or portfolio. Head to squarespace.com/abc for a free trial, and when you're ready to purchase a website or a domain, use my code ABC to get 10% off. Thank you, Squarespace, and now let's get back to the video. Now we're in my official desk work area. There's always a wall here full of art, and right now it's currently in the summer colorway with yellows and greens. And I just like surrounding myself with some of the art that inspires me, and obviously we have a Beatles postcard there and some Polaroid prints and things like that, and this really cute Miffy just for good luck. On the leftmost part, I have a little corner here. It's actually marketed as like a spice rack, but this is actually where I store most of my pens, my clock, and also some tech stuff here in these drawers like wires and SSDs and USB-Cs and memory cards and all that jazz. I have here my main work area. I have a keyboard, also have a mouse. I also have these fountain pens close by that I use the most, aka my top 3 favorites. This analog timer helps me set my time blocking and get my work done. I also have this cute Smisky. I don't go to work, but whatever, it's still really cute there. And I have this little fortune cookie thing from Panda Express. This is some of the things I need to remember when doing cuts for stickers. I also have this tiny toolbox that Sophie gave me for my memory cards and batteries. It's the mini version of the Toyo toolbox, super cute. Super love my Marshall speaker because I do use a monitor setup most of the time when I'm editing videos and I need really good sound. So this is not sponsored, I just really love Marshall. We're onto the right hand side of my work area. This is where a lot of the analog materials come in. Writing to-do lists. I have a lot of notepads. It's kind of my thing. I have a planner, but I still have notepads. But you might know already the analog system that I use, but I will link it down below in case you want to know more. I do like to jot down notes and think of ideas, and since this desk is big enough, that's where I do most of my planning, my tracking, my scheduling, and organizing tasks that need to be done in order for me to execute the tasks. This is my Fueki glue. It's just cute. It's there. But this is my acrylic drawer where I store most of my easy to reach essentials like clips for journaling, my tiny pair of scissors, fountain pens. I also have more fountain pens. I do store them in different parts of my room because it's easier for me to have access to them. This one has most of my ball pens for writing and for jotting down notes. I also have pens for drawing, so that's in another drawer with also my mechanical pencils, brush pens. I do a lot of analog work, so it's important for me to have also an analog calculator. And this dish rack also houses my easy to access journals and notebooks for when I need to do my daily journaling. So I have no excuse because I see it every day. And it is also the area that you probably see when you watch my reels because it is by the window and it has the best light. I recently started using this journal that was given to me by MJ. Thanks, MJ, for my thoughts. And this one is actually a sketch journal, sketchbook. This is where most of my ideas are in. It's a Blackwing notebook, super handy. After so many years, I finally invested in a standing desk. I knew I needed it for work. It is a really nice addition to my work area and I got this Flexi Spot one. Here's more of my storage for the boring parts, documents. This IKEA cart has most of my stationery. I don't know if I like how I set it up, but it was the most creative I could be. But as you can see, it looks very messy and very chaotic, especially the bottom part, but that's where all my tech stuff is. And this is my IKEA chair. Last but not least, I do have some photos up on the wall by my window. That's baby Abbey. Also have a photo of me and my dad, who I miss so much. And some family photos from trips, some little memorabilia to remind me of me. I also put some of my random stuff here in this part of my room. There are so many good things and bad things about the setup of this workspace, but I would say the most thing is that it wasn't enough space for me looking back. When Ven, Gabs, and I were packing and storing away the items, I realized that I should have found a better storage solution and I should have done closed cabinets, but also I wanted to pat myself on the back because this is the first time that I actually furnished a room of my own in my entire life, and I wanted the materials to be pretty accessible, not too over my budget. And now that I'm moving into a home office that's separate from where I sleep and eat and live, I think it's going to help me loads in figuring out a better system. For example, I would love to have a space where I could archive my journals properly. I want to display some of my best work. I want to be able to have friends over and sit in a proper couch. But in order for things to grow that way, there is this part of like grieving over the past self that I've lived through. I have only dreamed of being able to live a life here in Berlin and enjoy it. And I think this space really provided me that space, and it held space for me, because before this I was moving from one apartment to the other for like 3-6 month intervals, and I didn't have any sense of permanence and feeling like I was home in this city that I chose to call home. I remember feeling so envious of other artists who had their own spaces, and I was just, moving from one place to another and not having a workspace. And this space allowed me to really grow and nurture so many different versions of myself. And it was the first time that I actually invited so many friends to come over, and I just love being able to build this. And now that I'm tearing it apart, well, not tearing it apart, but dismantling, it did give me a sense of freedom, because nothing is permanent. And it's so weird doing this voiceover in my new home office as I'm watching these moments of the in-betweens and the move. And I'm really, really grateful for this new chapter and letting go of this old chapter, but important chapter in my life in Berlin. So I'm sure you will miss this backdrop, but we're going to make new ones in future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and huge thanks to Gabs and Ven for helping me out, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!